In the beginning of the story, we are shown that Thomas and Bea were getting married. They were very happy. Benjamin tells Peter that Thomas is now going to be their guardian, meaning Peter's father. Hearing this, Peter gets angry and attacks Thomas. All the animals present at the wedding also support Peter. Peter gives Thomas a great kick and Thomas falls from a distance, in which his leg gets stuck in the balloon and he flies away with the balloon. Peter says, "Say hello to God and never try to be my father." Peter was very happy, but then Benjamin wakes Peter up from his sleep. Actually, Peter was dreaming. After this, Thomas and Bea get married. Then Bea and Thomas go for their honeymoon. Everyone is very happy. After a while after the marriage of Bea and Thomas, everything was going very well. But one day a child in the bookstore of Thomas and Bea is buying a book by Peter Rabbit. The book that Bea wrote, the child looks at Peter and says that this is Peter Rabbit. He is a very naughty boy. Hearing this, Peter feels very bad because he has now improved. Peter says that I'm a hero, not a naughty boy. Looks like this kid has read the book upside down. Then a letter comes in the mailbox. Peter goes to pick it up. Then the same rat comes there, which we saw in the last movie. The name of that rat is Johnny. Johnny tells Peter that you will remain the family of Bea and Thomas until they have their own child. Also, Johnny also tells that Peter has been shown in the book like a naughty rabbit. Peter feels very bad about this, but he does not pay much attention to it because Peter has not read the book. And when he is telling Johnny how good he is, a window breaks from him. Thomas scolds Peter, but Bea calms Thomas down and asks him to apologize to Peter. Then Thomas apologizes to Peter. Then Bea sees that letter, which makes her very happy. Because this letter is written by Nigel Bejos, who is the owner of a publishing company. He wrote in the letter that he will publish Bea's book. In addition, his book will be promoted in every bookstore. And his book will be translated and sold in many languages. Bea tells Thomas this news. They both are very happy. Then they all go home, where all the rabbits eat vegetables. Only the tomato eats. Because these tomatoes were Thomas, and he did not give these tomatoes to anyone. Actually, Thomas wanted to sell these tomatoes in the market. Then Peter and his brothers and sisters are drinking water inside the house. Then Peter sees that a page of the book has fallen down. Then Peter goes to put it back in its place. But Thomas sees him and he thinks that Peter is spoiling that page. Then he scolds Peter. Peter feels very bad. Then Peter sees that Tommy is in the garden. Thomas' tomato is about to eat. Then Peter stops him and takes all the tomatoes back. Then when he is putting the tomatoes back, Thomas sees Peter. And he thinks that Peter was stealing his tomatoes. Peter feels very bad because whenever he goes to do something right, he gets scolded. Still, Thomas goes to meet Nigel and takes the rabbits with him. When he reaches Nigel's office, Nigel praises him a lot and traps him with his sweet talks. Then he tells his idea that he will print 5,000 copies of Bea's book. And then he will also print the stories of these rabbits, in which everyone else is good, but Peter was being shown evil. Knowing this, Peter feels very bad. Thomas also believes that Peter is evil, but Bea does not believe so. Then Thomas reminds Bea that how Peter was stealing her tomatoes. Then Bea does not support Peter. While Nigel is fully prepared, he has also made a billboard of Peter, in which he was being shown evil. Nigel tells that it is also very important to have a villain in the story. Everyone thinks Nigel's words are right. Then Peter leaves from there sad. While walking, he goes quite far. Then he sees that an old rabbit is stealing. His name is Barnabas. Barnabas says, "What happened, son? Have you never seen a rabbit stealing? Are you a good kid?" Then Peter says, "No, I am not a good kid. I am a very bad kid. Whenever I go to do something right, people think I am wrong." Then Barnabas tells Peter to steal. Then the shopkeeper comes there and follows them. They both hide in a mailbox. Barnabas says, "Where did you steal this jacket?" I had a jacket like this with a friend who lived in the mountains. Peter understands that he is talking about his date. Then they both get caught. But they both are getting out of there. The pets catch them and take them with them in a cage. At the same time, Nigel is officially getting a document signed from the beach. Whatever he had done for him. But she didn't want anyone to interfere in her story. Nigel agrees and promises that he won't do anything like that. Benjamin, Flopsy and Mopsy think Nigel is right. But Cottontail had doubts about Nigel. Then Nigel shows another author to Bea and Thomas, who gives Nigel permission to interfere in his creation for money. That's how he makes a lot of money. Thomas and Bea don't understand all this. On the other hand, Peter and Barnabas send a lady with 5% pets. Because his daughter Amelia was winning. Amelia and her brother Liam play with Peter and Barnabas at home, which makes Peter very upset. He wanted to get out of this place. Amelia and Liam's mom takes them to their grandmother's house. So Peter and Barnabas are locked in the cage. Then Barnabas breaks the cage lock and starts stealing food from the fridge. Actually, this was all Barnabas's plan, so that he can be caught and steal food from the fridge. They both steal a lot of food. But they couldn't take all this food out alone. So Peter asks, "How will you take this food out?" Then Barnabas introduces him to his team, which has Whiskerus, Tom and Mittens. Then they all start leaving. But then Amelia and Liam's mom comes there and follows them. Barnabas is coming out of a window of a room with his team. Then Peter says, "We can't leave so much food like this. I know how to deal with it." Then Peter uses his brain to take all the food out of the house. But Amelia and Liam's mom doesn't give up and keeps following them. But Peter and the rest reach their secret hideout. Everyone praises Peter a lot. Then Robinson comes there, who threatens him that he will catch them. Then Barnabas asks Peter and Robinson to teach a lesson. Actually, they all pull Peter's leg. Then Barnabas takes Peter for a walk and shares his old memories with him, in which he also tells about his dad. That his dad had a plan. A theft. After which he will never have to steal food. Barnabas tells Peter all this. Then Thomas and Bea go there. They are very happy to see Peter and take him back home with them. Then Benjamin asks Peter where he was all day yesterday. Peter says that I met a person yesterday who changed my whole life. His name was Barnabas. The other one was rolling on the hill like Thomas Rebase. And suddenly his speed increases a lot. And he starts falling down. Then Peter tells Benjamin that Barnabas made him realize that he is so bad. Only he understands him. Peter tells Benjamin about Barnabas' plan. But Benjamin doesn't like it. But Peter says that if our work is done, then we don't need Thomas and Bea. Didn't you hear? When they have a baby, then they won't even ask us. After this, Peter takes all his brothers and sisters and goes to Gloucester. Then they all go to Barnabas. Barnabas first tells them that this work was very dangerous. But when they tell their qualities, then Barnabas includes them in his team. Then Nigel comes to Thomas and Bea's shop and gives his suggestions to Bea so that he can change his painting. Bea agrees to all his suggestions, which Thomas doesn't like. On the other hand, Barnabas tells everyone that this work is very dangerous. But if we succeed, then we won't have to steal for food. So once a week, all the farmers of the valley gather at one place and call that place Farmers Market. We will steal dry foods there because they don't get spoiled quickly. And the food is also very tasty. But there is a lot of security there. We have to trick them and bring the loot safely here. I wish I had 10 more people like you. Then Peter, Ping Ling, Zamima, Jeremy, Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, Tommy are included in their team. Then they go to Felix. But Felix doesn't listen to them. So they go to take the torch from home. There Bia is painting. Then Thomas brings his tomatoes for tasting. Because yesterday he was going to take the farmers to the market. But when he sees Bia's painting, then he understands that Bia is following Nigel's advice. And he is paying more attention to someone else's suggestion. Why he also includes Felix in the team with the help of the torch. In the same way, Bia is telling her children her book. And Nigel is also very happy with it. Then Thomas goes to Nigel and tells him that he should not put his thoughts on Bia, because it is erasing his own thoughts. Nigel also has a meeting with Thomas, where Thomas tells him that Bia and he were planning a child. But everything went wrong because of him. Then Nigel says that you are very selfish. When Bia finds out this, she talks to Thomas, which leads to a debate between the two. On the other hand, Peter and his entire team start executing their plan. Everything was going according to their plan. But then a mistake happens to them, which breaks Thomas' tomato stall. Thomas sees Peter there. Then Barnabas tells Peter to go. And Peter goes. Their plan succeeds. But Barnabas puts his original team in the car. And he closes the painting zoo to the rest of the animals, where they are caught by the pipers and pates. Then Peter finds out that Barnabas is a number one liar. He had planned this so that he would get dry foods. He had read in the book about Peter. He was not a friend of his dad. But when he saw Peter's skills, then he was very impressed. And he included Peter in his team. But Peter goes to save his friends. When Peter reaches the pipers and pates shop, then he sees that most of his friends have been sold. Then Thomas goes there. And he goes inside the shop. He asks about his animals. But the shopkeeper doesn't tell him anything. Then Thomas gives him money. But he doesn't agree. Then Thomas steals that list and runs away. And he finds out where his animals have been sold. But all of them were sold at different locations. Then their truck's fuel runs out. So they push the truck. Here Peter and Thomas tell each other what they want. And they become friends again. They are talking about both. Then their truck falls down. Then they meet Bia at a meeting, where his book is being transformed into a live-action movie. But Bia realizes that Thomas was right. They are betting their lives on him. Then Thomas and Peter come there. Thomas tells him everything and asks for his car so that he can bring his pates back. Bia also refuses to continue with him. Then Thomas, Peter and Bia all go to save all the animals in a new car. It's easy to save some animals. But to save some animals, they have to work very hard. Especially to save Benjamin. But they somehow save them all. Then Peter and his friends go to the bus stop, where they are taking back the stolen dry foods. But then Bia and his team comes there. But this time Peter was ready. He traps Bia and his team in their trap and ties them all with a rope, which is tied with a truck. And that truck is going in the farmer's market, in the same place where the pipers and pates were. The pipers and pates catch Bia and his team. Then they send all the dry foods to their owner. Thomas apologizes to Bia. And Bia gets rid of Thomas, while Peter apologizes to Benjamin that he should have listened to him. Everything is fine. At the end, we are shown that Bia and Thomas have a daughter, who all the rabbits love very much. This is where we find out which movie's narration was being done by Flossie. Peter says that if everyone liked this story, then there will be more stories. And this series will continue like this. So with this movie ends here. Guys, if you want to see its next part soon, then like this video and subscribe to the channel. And complete this video's 10K like gain soon. Thanks for watching.